Hi friends, welcome back again. So in the previous step, we have seen that how we have set up our development environment to get with our work. Now in this particular section, what we are going to saw that we'll build up a simple MCP server with a very simple tool out there. So it is like that we are building an MCP server with a particular tool, and we are going to demonstrate how it is actually working with MCP Inspector with Claude Desktop. So that the session is all about creating a simple MCP server with the MCP tool and orchestrate it by communicating with Claude Desktop as a client as a host over here. So keep watching this particular video. And again, if you like my work, if you like my videos, then please do subscribe in this YouTube channel and keep the notification icon, push the notification icon over there so that you can get a regular notification from this channel. And also if you have any question, put in the comment section of the YouTube's videos, and also if possible like the video. That will give me some kind of encouragement to go with. So without any further delay, let's jump in to our coding environment. Hi friends. So today in our MCP classes, we are going to see a very simple server that we can create by our own and can access it by Claude Desktop. So Claude Desktop is nothing but a simple, client and host configuration where you can download it. And in our previous tutorial, we have seen that how to download it, how to install it actually. So that's the objective. So it will be very crisp, short tutorial. So first, what we need for the MCP server. So let me bring up. You see, this is the particular site that we talked about. This is the mother site of MCP. So every information that we want to get, you will be getting over here. Okay. So let's just, you see that, TypeScript SDK is here, Python SDK is here, Java, Kotlin, C#. So you can build your MCP server by choice of any of these languages. Okay. So for our tutorial purpose, we are going to use the Python SDK for us. So Python SDK, once you click over here, you will land it up on this particular page. And this page is very, very useful. So just every instruction is very crisp and clear over here. You see that, how to create an MCP server and all those stuff, and the tools are here. So our primary focus will be on the tools. Later, we will be moving to resources and prompts. Okay, because 90 or 95% case will be resolved by tools. There are 5% cases where we need a prompt or a resource over here. So without further discussion, let's jump into our working session. So what is it? I have opened up a Visual Studio Code over here. So it's a simple blank folder. Nothing is here. So I hope you have already installed on part 1 the UV and other stuffs. So we just want to see that whether this UV is actually working on our laptop or not. So if you supply a command like UV, then you will see that a particular screen like this. Okay, and you will see that UV run, init, add, remove, all the section will come up. So if it is coming for you, then you are pretty good that you have installed UV. Else you need to reinstall UV from your command prompt. And you can refer back to the previous tutorial how to do it. So what we need that first, it's very simple actually. It's very, very simple. So let me bring up my notepad to see you how this thing should work over here. Okay. So you see there are a couple of comments: UV init, the kick up the project bootstrap, UV VNB for creating the virtual environment, UV add.mcp. MCP is our library that we want to install MCP CLI. Okay. So this is the link of the MCP CLI. All the things will be given in the documentation also. So first thing first, let's go on over here and try to run the command UV init. Okay, so we are already in a particular project folder where you can see that part 2 simple server. So if you are not in, then you can supply the particular project name or folder name that you want to create over here. So I'm not supplying because I'm already into it. So initialized, our server is getting initialized, and UV done the bootstrapping for us. Okay, So you can install pip, but recommended when you work on MCP, it is always recommended to use a UV. So all the bootstrap file has been created. So git ignore and main, and project toml file and readme file. So all the things that readme are clearly blank over here. Okay. And for this particular section, you can see a dependency will come up in the present section because, we are using the Python. Okay. So dependency will come up over here, but we have not installed any kind of dependency right now. So it will be blank. Now let us install our, second command. So that is the creating the virtual environment for Python. So it's very easy. Just UV env. That's it for us. Okay. Once you dropped it, a virtual environment will be created over here. You see, all the virtual environment had been created, and our Python debugger, which will be available under the script activate will call up this particular python.exe and it will activate the environment for us. So now let's do it actually. Let's call up our command prompt. So in this command prompt, what we are going to do, so we will just need to activate our virtual environment, that is script activate, nothing else. Okay. So you'll see that, this has come up. So it's the evidence that our virtual environment has been activated successfully. Now, let's do one thing. Our second thing will be installing the MCP CLI over here. Correct? So for that, you will need to just run this command uv add MCP within this CLI. That's it. Okay. Hit enter. So these packages are going to be installed on this for this particular project. Once it has been done, so let me clear up my screen one more time. And if you open up the dependency file over here, you'll see that the dependency has been. Let me make it zoom it a bit for you. Okay. So now you see that this dependency has been installed that we just installed over here. Okay. Great. Now, what is our next step? So we need to have a simple, very simple, our own server for MCP. Okay. So let me create a particular Python file. It's super duper easy, nothing fancy over here. Simple weather.py. So you can understand that's a simple Python file. Okay. That we want to host or run as a MCP server. So for this tutorial, I'm not going to write, codes over here because that will take time. Every time that we write code, and it will take time and will create this tutorial more large, which I don't want. Okay. So I have already written my code. I will just copy paste and tell you what is what. Okay. Let us put over here. Now you will see that, let's go for the first line. So MCP server first MCP. So what is the first MCP? See, MCP when initially, introduced by Anthropic, actually there was a core server. Okay. Where you can do a lot of customization on the server, but the server code was, pretty heavy, and writing those kind of server was very complicated task. Okay. So what is happening over here, some good people have abstracted the server concept over this package called first MCP. Okay. So we are creating the same server, but with the help of first MCP over here. Okay. And if you following along this particular tutorial, you will see, on our Python SDK side, MCP is also suggesting us for a first API using the first MCP over here. Okay. So, and if you are already, did I use first API? Oh my goodness. Okay. So if you are, familiar with first API, the Python API stack, then you'll see that, the structure is very, very, very similar. Okay. And there is a reason behind it. So if you are already familiar with first API, then there is a abbreviation change only first MCP, and first MCP will come over here. Okay. Now let us do one thing. Now, okay. Now let us do one thing. So let us go one by line. Okay. So here what is happening, we are importing this particular first MCP from MCP server.firstMCP. Okay. Now here this particular line is weather, which we are calling as our MCP server. Okay. And if you touch over here, you will see that, what extra parameter it can receive. For now, we are just only supplying the name. That's the default parameter or the first parameter of this particular method. Okay. So this is our MCP server. Okay. Now, if just now forget this particular lineup right now. So just concentrate over here. It's what it is actually. Okay. It is nothing but a pure normal Python function. It has nothing fancy in it. Okay. So we are supplying a location. Okay. And we wanted to the information, whether what is the weather condition of that particular location. That's it. So only one thing that you have to remember over here, that whenever you are defining a function to be used by MCP server, as exposed by a tool actually. So the important factor over here, whatever you are writing, you have to make your doc string absolutely correct, so that the large language model, when the MCP client supplies the large language model, the list of tool, the large language model, by the definition of this particular gateway, that will understand that, what is the purpose of this particular function. Okay. So in the doc string, you can say that, it is clearly written that, this function is only useful when you want a, weather of a particular location. So when the MCP client expose all the tools to large language model will see the doc string, will see the definition argument. Okay. Then it will suggest the client to call this particular tool to solve a task with a particular argument. Okay. The argument will be given by ln. So this portion, this doc string, what it does, description, what is the argument. Okay. And optionally you can, if needed, you can include a return also over here. So let me introduce the returns. Okay. So that's the return statement over here. Weather, a string describing the weather of the location. Great. Okay. So this portion is absolutely important. Okay. Now, what does it return? It does not return anything. Okay, it is not a real-time weather because we are demoing our MCP server. We are just creating our very simple MCP server. So it is returning only a mere string over here. Now, another part is very important, that if you create the MCP server over here, but this function will not be exposed by, our MCP server to the client, it is not a tool until unless you come up over here and decorate this particular function with a decorator called tool. Okay. So if you're defining your MCP server as, let's say I'm defining my MCP server as MCP, correct? So it is that @mcp.tools. This is the decorator. So if you are defining your function of, MCP server here like ABC, then it will become @a.tool, b.tool, something like that. But these actually attribute will let the MCP server know that, you can use or expose this as a tool. Okay. Without that, if I remove this line, okay, then without that, this is a simple Python function and it will not be helpful in MCP case. So we always have to keep decorator over here. That's called tool. Okay. So we are working on tool. We are giving the example of tool. So let me go over the browser one more time, where, we have just shown to you that, it has few things, like it has a tool. MCP server can expose a tool, can expose a resource, and can expose a prompt also. Okay. So you see, this is the attribute exposing a Python function as a tool. Okay. When we work on resources, you will be using resources attribute over here, but we will see that thing later in this tutorial. Okay. And for prompt, it applies the same things. Now go back to our VS Code. Over here, you will see the transport. Okay. So if you touch the transport is very important factor over here. Another important factor for creating an MCP server. Okay. So transport can accept stdio, SSE, and streamable HTTP. SSE is going to be, in future going to be used very less. Okay. Majority of the application is using stdio, and streamable HTTP is coming up, and catching up. So what is the difference? Let me tell you the first difference. Okay. stdio, when you type stdio, it means that, okay, your, see, MCP, in a first tutorial, we have seen that MCP has three components, okay? One is called server, one is host, one is client. So if your server, host, and client both resides on the same infra, like, on a laptop, so obviously it is the same machine, okay? So then you are going to be using the protocol called stdio. You can use streamable http, but that has a very different purpose altogether. We'll come to see. So for our application, we are creating this server in this laptop. So we'll be using Claude as our client over here. And, I have installed Claude Desktop over here. You can see it is running on my laptop. So Claude is working as a host and client. So that means that, our server, our host, our client, all are residing on the same machine or same laptop. So we are going to use the transfer protocol STDIO for our purposes. Now, streamable HTTP, we will be having a very different sector for streamable HTTP, but let me introduce it first. So streamable HTTP is something when your server, means whatever server you are creating on MCP, is residing on remote. Okay, like let's say we are hosting on a Azure VM. Okay, then our server goes on the Azure VM, but our client, our host is, let's say, in our laptop. So there is a network difference over here. It's not in the same network anymore, correct? So our server is on host, sorry, on cloud. Our server is on cloud, host and client is our laptop. So that means it become a straightforward, disintegrated server client architecture. Okay. So at that point, streamable HTTP we have to use, because the communication will be via internet. So it will be coming via HTTP or HTTPS. That is all about. And the future of MCP server will be slowly moving to STDO to streamable HTTP in the future. So we'll be having a very separate segment tutorial section for streamable HTTP to talk more. So that's all. And last not but the least, okay, so if you remove this line, what will happen? Your MCP server will be created, but it will be not running. So MCP run is a command that actually run your MCP server. You see, run the first MCP server. Okay, so now it's a synchronous function. We'll deal with async program for later right now. Okay, so that means that, in your over here, if name equal to main, then we are calling this mcp.run to run or bootstrap this all the server functionality over here. Great. Now once you define it, what we need to do next step, that MCP has a very fantastic thing. So before going to the Claude Desktop, because Claude is a client and host, correct? But let's say we are defining our function for the very first time. So what we need to do? We need to make sure that it is working properly, correct? Then we can call it by a client or host. So MCP has given up a very fantastic facility over here. So if you just type a comment over here, let me close it down. Okay, so just type MCP, nothing else. Okay, just put MCP over here in the command line. Okay, so you will see that there, if you in your previous step, if you install correctly the MCP, then all the MCP command will come up and shown to you. Sometimes it takes time, sometimes it's fast. Okay, now it's coming up. So you will see that if your MCP server is correctly installed, means the packages I mean to say, we have installed, correct? You will see the packages, the dependency, correct? So if MCP CLI is properly installed, then this is the CLI command for MCP, and you will see something like this. Okay, help, version, dev, run, install, all the thing will be shown to you. Okay, so if it is working properly, then it's fine. If it is not, then you have to run the command that we discussed in your previous, this particular command, if it is not working for you. Okay, so version shows the MCP version. Run, what does it mean? It's run the MCP with the MCP Inspector. That is the important line we will be working on. Okay, and run is a simple run. Install Claude Desktop, we will see that. Okay, but we are right now over here. Okay. Now let's go back to our code base. Okay, let me clear up it bit. Okay. Now if you run MCP give, okay, and where is our server file? This is our server file. Okay. So if you are working in a folder structure, like say we are creating a folder over here called server, then we are putting weather.py, pi over here, then we have to mention the path correctly. Okay. So what is that? Weather.py, right? So if we correctly configure and write the code automatically, then the MCP inspector will come up. Let's see. Finger crossed. If you are doing a right work. If you are doing something wrong, stupid, it will not work. We have to fix it. So the MCP inspector has span up for us. Now, just we'll be seeing this MCP server. Okay, it's host up. Okay. So automatically, when this command finish executing, then you will see a page similar like this will be coming up. This is called MCP inspector. Okay. It's just give you a glimpse whether your MCP server is working correctly, it is getting connected or not. Okay. Now, few things remember over here that look at this. It is coming from localhost. Okay. And it is listening to the port 6277. Okay. With the session token. This is very important. Remember the session token. We will see that in MCP inspector itself. Okay. Now, and opening up the browser, span up the browser. If you go over here in the browser section, you will see that this is working up over here. Now, if I click connect, but before that, go to the configuration section. Just look at the proxy. Okay. You see this is the proxy token. Now go back to your VS Code. Just look whether it is having the proper session token or not. If it is having, then it will get connected. If it is not having, copy the session token from here and come down over here, open up the configuration, put the proxy session token over here, then click on connect. Okay. Now let me close down it. And one another thing is very important is argument. So you see, running a MCP server by the inspector already create an argument for us. Okay. So it's nothing. It's called run with dot, with MCP run weather.py. So our server is weather.py. So this is the command to run it. Okay. So now finger crossed, let's click on the connect. If it is working correctly, if our MCP server is hosted correctly, and it will be getting connected because this is the client and host for us. Okay. So now click on connect. Let's see what is happening. Okay. Well, so you see that we click on the connect and it's give us a green light that our MCP server is actually connected. Okay. So where is our MCP server? Here our MCP server. Okay. And you will see that it got connected. Okay. So new STDIO connection request. Who sent the request? MCP inspector sent the request. Okay. With the parameter blah 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 blah. Okay. And it got connected. Great. Now come over here. So we have what we have in our MCP server. So we have only very simple tool. One simple tool over here. Nothing else in our MCP server. Okay. So for that, what we need to do that we have to come over here and click on the tool. Okay. So if you click on over here, so this is a resource, this is a prompt we are not dealing with right now. So we are only dealing with the tool. So click on the list tool. Yeah, get weather. Correct. Click over here. See, get the weather, blah blah blah. Whatever we have specified in the doc string. This section is coming from this doc string that we talked about, correct? This one. So this will be passed to your LLM so that LLM can understand what is the purpose of this tool and how to call it. Now, let me type a very simple text. What is the weather of LA? Okay. So if you pass LA, whatever you want to do, so it will always return your particular hard-coded string. Okay. So this is the output schema. So run the tool. Okay. You see success. The weather is a hot and dry on LA right now. So it is actually working as per the expectation, as per the MCP, our MCP Inspector also that whatever server we have built, it is working properly. Now let's go down on our VS Code one more time. So we can kill this session because its purpose is over. I'm terminating it. Okay. Now what we need to do that, we need to verify the thing by Claude Desktop because as I told you, Claude is a client and host which can kick off the server with a request and server will span. Okay. Now let us go over here. This is my Claude Desktop. So how to configure the Claude Desktop so that it can access our MCP server? That's the golden question. Okay. So in Claude, if you click over here, file, go to the settings. Okay. Come down over here in the developer section. Okay. So edit config. You need to edit the config. Okay. Click on over here. So it will give you the Claude Desktop configuration file, based on your installation. Okay. Now let me open up this one with the VS Code. Okay. Now you see it's empty. Nothing is here. Okay. We need to give the information to the Claude so that it can understand that here is the location of MCP server. So I need to connect to it. Okay. For that you can put the simple code over here, copy and paste. But for now, as you are beginning the course right now, so I will not suggest you to copy paste. Rather, there is an automated method is here just to make that happen. Let me go to the notepad one more time. So you see the install command. So install, when you click up this command, it will install the MCP server for the Claude Desktop app. So what does it mean? It means that now if you go to the previous command, so it was dev, right? To running our MCP Inspector. Only the thing you have to replace instead of dev, okay? You have to write install. That's it. Nothing else. Okay. Very, very simple. Very, very easy. Okay. Now hit up. You see, the command has been given to Claude Desktop. Okay. Now this is the Claude configuration file. The configuration. So it's a weather. So it will detect this MCP server as weather because it is coming from this particular file. Okay. So weather, and this is the command because UV is on this location on my laptop. In your case, it may differ. It should be different because your username will not be same with me. Okay. So I'm working on Windows, Mac will be different things. Arguments, yes. We need to pass this argument. And if you look carefully, let me copy the thing over here. This arc section, okay. Because you see everything is very easy, correct? But you need to understand it properly. What is what? Because if you understand correctly a deeper thing, then it is very easy for you to get going. Correct. So you see, this is the same comment. If I remove this, this braces over here. So this is the same comment that our MCP Inspector was running. You can do it. Correct. So what exactly this comment is all about? It's nothing but, run with MCP. What it will go now? MCP run. That's a comment. Okay. And this is the path of the solver file. In my case, from where I'm working in VS Code, it is the path of this weather.py. In your case, it will differ. So only this path will change and this command will change based on your user credential on Windows, where you have installed the ub.exe. Okay. So this line will change for you. This line will change for you. Nothing will be changed, apart from these two lines. Just remember these points. Okay. So if you create another MCP server over here, like, let's say note, okay, note.py, then obviously you just need to put it as note over here, okay, instead of weather, and just replace the weather.py with note.py because the location will be the same. Okay. It's very, very simple, MCP server. MCP is a big thing right now, but understanding MCP, if you go deeper, if you go slow, then you can understand it is very easy. Nothing fancy over here. Okay. And if you keep up with me, we'll go many more tutorials on MCP, and up to some time it may be it may become difficult for you. You can maybe you are not having a proper grip right now on MCP, but trust me, if you stay with me, if you stay in this channel, later on you'll see that it is actually very easy if you know the things in a correct manner, in a correct time, in a correct way. Now, so you can see that our Claude configuration has been changed. So now, okay, go over here in the Claude and open up a new chat. Okay, that we can do. Unfortunately, if you see that in this section, it will not show you anything. Okay, no tools here because weather is not available over here. What is wrong? So we have added, correct. The problem is that you need to, whenever you change the Claude config file, okay, you need to change. Whenever you change the Claude config file, you need to restart. I'm sorry, you need to restart the Claude desktop. Okay, so close it over here, but closing it over here is not the 100% work done. You need to go to the task manager. Okay, then let me bring up my task manager to you so that you can clearly understand what is the purpose of it. Okay, so just give me a second because I just wanted to show you whatever I want to show you, the proper manner. So you can see, in your task manager, there will be a Claude thing called, okay, process task manager. If you sort by name, you will see the Claude, 10 instances running. So just right click it from here in the task. Then actually all the Claude instances will be closed for you. Now, what you need to do, just click over Claude desktop. That's it, nothing else. And finger crossed, let's see whether it is picking up our weather tool or not from its configuration file. We'll see that. Now, if you come over here and click over here, you will see, yeah, it has picked up the weather, correct? This is our tool. This is the server actually. This is our tool, okay? So it's picked up the correct server from here. As we instructed Claude that one server file for MCP exists on this location. So just connect to it and just connect to it. Give us the resources prompted tool. So we are working on tools right now. We are having only one tool. The tool is shown over here. Now let's see what is happening. Okay. Let's do one thing first. Okay. With the tool, without the tool. Correct. What is the weather of India computer? Just search it. If your MCP server is working properly and see, now the Claude is asking that, hey, I don't have the current weather information, but I can see that, so Claude is the host, Claude is the client. So Claude client is talking to the server, whatever server you have, give me it back. Okay. So Claude client is giving back the weather server to it. Okay. And there is a tool called get weather. And this is a definition of doxing, correct? So now the Claude is asking, hey, I find out a tool that is called, it is residing on weather server that called get weather that can give you the weather. So are you going to allow me to access it? Okay. So what is happening behind this Claude Sonnet? That's a LLM, correct? Claude Sonnet. Okay. Let me allow it once first. Okay. So you see, we are using the Claude Sonnet 4 over here. Okay. So what is happening? The Claude host is connecting to the Claude, Sonnet, that large language model. Okay. And it is asking that, I I have this question from a user that, what is the weather condition of India, Kolkata, okay, right now. And I have this particular server with this particular set of tools. Is there any suggestion that you can show me that, which tool I am going to use? Okay, now Claude Sonnet is communicating back actually to the Claude Desktop, okay, Claude host, that, hey, you have this particular server, you have this particular tool, and by definition, it is saying that, this is useful to get a weather of a particular location that the user was expecting. So it is matching up. You can go and use this particular tool. And once you use the tool, give me the information back so that I can formulate a quick answer for the user. Now, just see, the weather of Kolkata, India is currently hot and dry. Okay. See the magic over here. Let me copy this one. This is the answer for coming from Claude Sonnet. So a large language model, correct? So let me copy and put it on my notepad to see you clearly what is happening. So if you go to our function, what it is actually returning this particular line, correct? Now come down over here. So this is the line, right? So hot and dry. But from where it is speaking this particular information? We are not supplying it in our function, correct? There is nothing. So that is the beauty of the LLM. Actually, what is happening? LLM is using this tool just to get this particular response. Okay. And after that, it is actually giving more text, on top of it to formulate a good answer for the user. So that means that, this section is actually coming from the LLM, and this section is coming from, the question and the answer. It is getting from our own weather MCP server, and this is coming from the LLM itself. So it is conjugating both of them to give user a very good answer. Clear? So now let me show you one thing more, and just to finish it up, let us go to the Claude config one more time. Okay, and this was added, correct? This line was added by our comment when we give this comment that MCP install weather.py. So let us remove this line. Okay, file is getting to auto save, so I don't have to save it, automatically saved. But even you do that, Claude will always see you that one particular tool is available, one particular tool is available, weather is available. But already we remove the configuration because we need to again restart the Claude. Okay, so if I bring up my task manager one more time, close the Claude. Okay, where is Claude? Okay, so you see 10 Claude over here. Okay, it's jumping around. Just give me 1 minute. Okay, I need to close all the tasks for the Claude. Okay, so now the Claude is completely closed. Now you open up the Claude one more time. Now you click on the tool section. You will not see the tool anymore over here because we remove all the configuration of Claude. Okay, and we restarted it. Now, if you ask the same question, what is the difference? What is the weather of, my goodness, India, Kolkata? Correct. That is the same question that we asked for. Correct. What is this? Fine. Supply the same question. Now see the difference in the answer. Okay, so you see right now it is showing the proper information because on its path when it tries to find out the current weather condition of Calcutta right now, India, then it is going for the internet and taking the information from the net because it does not have any more tool over here. Okay, so once you supply the tool, then it will follow the path of the tool. It will see that you will not understand whether your text is hard coded or something like that. It is not giving you the proper answer. He does not care. Okay, he only cares, the LLM only cares that whatever tools I have in my bucket, I will use it first. If my answer is not getting satisfactory, then I can switch back to another, searching for the another tool. Okay, but if you supply a tool, then automatically, if your question is right, if your doc string is absolutely correct, and the LLM can understand, LLM is reading all the things, it can understand the things, then automatically it will fall back to the loop condition. Okay, now another tips that I want to give it to you in this tutorial is that it's not mentioned anywhere in that way, but sometime it's a very bonus tip for you. Remember one thing: what is this location of this configuration file? Let me go to the our file explorer. Okay, so you see this is the location of your config file. Okay, now once you reached over here, there is a very crucial folder called logs. Okay, now sorted by date time, you see this is the MCP weather server that we just worked on. Okay, now if we open up, let's say your somehow your MCP server is not working properly, it is not getting connected by Claude Desktop, some error is coming, it will not show you the error properly. Okay, so to find out the problem, you need to go to this log file. Okay, and come down over here, you will see that what exactly it is doing. Okay, so you will see that it is reaching, it is communicating to address. Okay, it is coming from 800 port. Okay, it is doing lot of things to give you the answer. Finally the answer is coming from here. Okay, so if some error is happening, you are not getting any satisfactory result, then come over, please come over to this log, because this log is very important. And you just see that it is running the MCP CLR, it is working on this path to find out your leaves. Okay, and it is giving you the question with the answer. But this is the log. If something is wrong and your MCP server is not working with Claude Desktop, but let's say it is working with your inspector, okay, your inspector is working properly, but your Claude Desktop is not getting connected, something is going wrong over there. Okay, then come over this log, you will see the error message properly, what is wrong with Claude Desktop. Just remember, this is a very bonus tip for you. So thank you. Today we have concluded that creating our very simple, super duper easy, our MCP server is very simple server. I will supply the code if you want. If you can comment in my video link, if you comment that you need these code pieces, then I will drop you a file over the comment section where you can see, or I can give you the Git link also to download and clone it. But you can download, you can clone it. But remember, you can copy paste the code. There is no harm. But please try to listen to the video entirely and just understand what is going on. Because today this server is very simple with a simple tool. Tomorrow it will be more complicated. Day after tomorrow it will be more complicated. Okay, so it is not complicated if you understand it correctly. If it is very complicated if you don't understand and just try to work on some crash courses. It is not a crash course. It's not uh, first drive for you. Okay, you go slow, you have patience, you stay on this channel. I will promise you, after some time, you'll be more confident to work on the thing MCP. That is, a buzzword right now in the industry. Stay tuned. Thank you.